Hey everyone, welcome to the College Lens podcast. I'm Alokika and this is Gavin.
Hey everyone, I'm Gavin. Here at the College Lens, our goal is to target college isolation by bringing different perspectives and journeys that allows listeners to relate and feel a little less alone. Just a reminder, we are not professionals. We're here to listen just like you.
And we really quickly just wanted to thank Aspire Skill Development for supporting us. Now, off to the pod.
Hey everyone, welcome to the College Lens podcast. I'm Gavin, and I'm here with my co-host Alokika. And today on the pod, we have our guest, Roy Park. So Roy, tell us about yourself. How are you?
I'm doing good. Thanks for asking, Gavin. So yeah, my name's Roy Park. I currently study at the Lead School of Business here at the University of Colorado Boulder, currently majoring in information management, business analytics, and getting a certificate in operations management and information management on top of that. So yeah, what do y'all want to talk about?
Well, let's start off with how your day has been. Are you liking the spring weather so far?
Yeah, I mean, the spring weather's been a little bit crazy. We got a little bit of snow, a little bit of wind. Well, not a little bit, a whole lot of it that shut off
Yeah.
the power for a little while. Today's been all right. It's just been busy. I had a presentation earlier. That's why I had the get up that I have right now. But yeah, other than that, it hasn't been too bad. Just
Yeah.
busy. What about y'all?
Doing good. Speaking of power outages, Gavin, you have something to share? A little anecdote?
Yeah, yeah, my school, CCU, the power has been out almost all week. The first half of the week was just crazy. It was a blessing in disguise. I'm now a little bit stressed out because I wasn't able to go to my classes or do any work at the beginning of the week, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. And the power didn't come on until later in the day, Wednesday. And the first couple of days, Monday, Tuesday, were relaxing because everyone on campus went out into the lawn. We were playing spike ball, we were playing volleyball. People were running around, hanging out, having a good time. And then all of a sudden, the power came back on, and everyone is right back to work, work, work. We have to catch up because 2 days with no computers, no anything is just it put a lot of people behind on their schoolwork for sure.
I bet. I mean, like, at least were the teachers kind of like lenient on like assignments and stuff, though?
Um, Not really. It's kind of just
What?
same old, same old. Get your stuff done by the due date, and if you don't, then you don't get the points, and that's just how it is. We didn't have classes because there were no lights, but yeah, assignments did not get changed at all.
That's
Mm.
crazy. I don't know what we would do here. I think people would just like go out, have fun, and like come back, and then our teachers would be like at least pause. But I do know some teachers who would be like, "No, sorry, it's your loss." So I could definitely see that. But at least it sounds fun though. Did you have some fun? I bet it was like a nice little break.
Yeah, the 2 days the power was out, everyone had a great time. I loved it. I got to run around, play games. It was just amazing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Glad to hear that.
Okay, well, Roy, now that you've like kind of told us a little bit about yourself and like info management, tell me a little bit about what got you into that and why info management and all operations and all that.
Yeah, so to make a long story short, my college story has been a little bit of a roller coaster, as is everyone's.
Hmm.
And so how it started off, I was originally doing a minor in computer science. So I was doing the computer science business integration program here at the Lead School of Business on top of, I believe, quantitative finance and marketing. Those were the two areas that I started off in. And I actually didn't change my major until very late in my college career. So I changed it after my second semester of my junior year, or after my first semester of my junior year, going into my second
Wow.
semester. So I changed my major pretty late, but luckily I was super ahead in terms of credits from high school. So I was able to have that leeway and that flexibility to change my
Mm,
major that late. Um, the thing with what I saw and what I viewed, it was just um, I didn't necessarily want to apply the hard technical skills like programming and coding in the way that the computer science department here at CU was doing it. It's very much theoretical in their ways of teaching the computer science program. And I just didn't need to go that low in terms of the level that I wanted to code at. Like, I didn't want to be a full stack developer. I didn't want to be
mm,
a software developer, software engineer. So I wanted to utilize coding and utilize these hard skills in programming for business aspects, and to have that client side of my work. I think that that's a huge thing that drove me towards wanting to study business, is having to have a people facing role. And you just don't get that with a computer science degree or going into the career paths that um, the computer science degrees offer, unfortunately. So with information management, it just made sense. I utilize the hard skills, the hard technical skills, programming, coding, but I get to work with clients. I get to have a people facing position in my career paths. And, it's just super transferable across a lot of different industries. I've heard stories from some of my friends. I'm not going to name any names, but one of my friends, he recently last summer actually worked an internship with McDonald's corporate. And he said, like, yeah, they offer a rotational program, which is you take like 6 months off, or not 6 months off, but you take 6 months where you rotate around in different departments and do different training for different departments to see if you want to transfer. And he was like, yeah, with my info management degree, if I wanted to, I could do a rotational with the development team for McDonald's corporate. So the people who run like the McDonald's website, the application on like the iPhone and Android platforms. And he's like, yeah, if I wanted to, I could do a rotational with them and get into web development, app development, all that sort of stuff through McDonald's corporate and through like my hard skills that I gained from info management. So that's it was like a win-win scenario. If I ever wanted to pivot my career into that sort of realm, I could. If I didn't, I could stay with the people facing side and just still utilize the skills that I'm learning now in order to make innovative and creative solutions for clients and whatever firm or business I end up at.
Gavin, you're on mute.
Thank you. Sorry, I have people getting ready for like a dance event that's tonight. And so there's people getting ready in the other rooms, and so I don't want to like be super distracting. But what I was gonna say is I can really resonate with some of the first things you were saying. I know I'm just a freshman, you're a senior, but as I was going into college, I was really interested in business, economics, accounting, finance. But I really wanted to be able to have that relational aspect in my job where I can talk to people, meet new people, learn about people. And what really drove me into finance is having that aspect. I want to be a financial advisor. That's my current route, my current plan, so that I can meet people and work with people. But I had a couple moments in my life that led me to want to do that. I was curious if you had a moment in your life or a couple moments that made you feel like, oh, I really want to work with people versus do the process behind the computer.
Yeah. I mean, my life has been full of trials and tribulations. And so a huge part of me hates to admit it, but at the same time, I'm proud to admit it. Like, I originally, coming out of high school, didn't see myself going to college originally.
Mm.
And I'm not saying that there's anything wrong with any of these professions or anything like that. I just didn't think college was the right path for me, just because of some of my personal life was super messy. My father walked out on me my sophomore year of high school. My GPA tanked around that time. My high school GPA tanked, and I was like holding on by a thread in that time. So, coming out of high school, I was honestly just going to go to trade school and either become like a carpenter or an electrician and just go that path. And again, both great career paths to go down. I'm not like, undermining or diminishing the value of those professions, but that's just where I saw myself. But I was offered an opportunity to come into the lead school of business actually through one of my professional mentors, Jorge. Alokika knows Jorge. And I got rejected from the lead school of business originally because my ACT and SAT weren't high enough, and my GPA wasn't high enough to make me competitive to get into the school. So that's why I wanted to go to trade school in the first place. But Jorge, he sent me an email, and I thought it was like, I had to pinch myself when I got this email. I thought it was a joke, honestly. But it's like, if you interview and sign up to interview for this program and you get in, called the Excel Summer Bridge program, you just do a 3-week academic program in July, and if you complete the program, upon completion, you get direct admissions into the lead school of business. And I was like, wait a second, wait a second. Like I had to do a double take. I already had like the applications to a bunch of different trade schools open. And so, I applied to it. I interviewed with Jorge, and you know, I was lucky enough to be one of the participants in my cohort, to come to lead school of business. And like that whole that whole shift in just like my life and my career path, my academic path, really just shifted me towards a community centric sort of view and how I wanted to, approach my career and my academics. I wouldn't be here without the community that built me, the Diverse Scholars Program, the Excel program. I wouldn't be here without that community and without those people, who have always been cheering me on from those programs and those communities. So that's kind of what drove me to want to give back to different communities, give back to the programs I was a part of, and just work with people. I just find it valuable, or invaluable, um, to see just like some of the work that the program coordinators did, and mentoring people. I'm a part of a bunch of different mentorship programs here at CU as well. I just think that people don't need to listen to me, but if I can possibly make one person's life easier or one person's trajectory a little bit less turbulent, then I'm doing my job as not only a professional but as a mentor and as a person. So that's kind of what some of the stuff that drove me to have a more people-centric view about business and just like the career path and academic path I wanted to go down.
Yeah, I mean, I completely agree. And going back to the people-centric part of it, I think that networking is so important. Like, I cannot stress this enough because I've actually seen this play out like in real life too. Like we like the saying, like the world is so small. It's because like I feel like some or the other way, like a lot of us are connected in ways that we don't know. Like, for example, actually, like a friend of mine um wanted to go to this like entertainment and media track, like that direction, and luckily I knew someone who works for Netflix, and so I connected them. And although she couldn't help her because that's not the domain she wanted to work in, but she then connected to another person who then helped
Mm,
her get the internship slash job or whatever. And it's like, I know this is such like a small example, but at the same time, like, imagine the difference that it made in her life. Like she got a whole opportunity that could be life changing. So like just the power of networking and like meeting new people and seeing where that takes you is so important in the business world especially, but I think in life in general. So whoever, even if you're not in business, like listening right now, like just try to meet as many new people as you can. I know social anxiety is a thing, but honestly, just say hi and they'll remember you the next time. You never know. So, yeah, I agree.
Yeah, and kind of echoing that point, I would say like it's just generally important to put yourself out there. And what I mean by that is, again, kind of going back to a point that I made before. I've had to do a lot of networking outside of just like school sanctioned events, school career fairs and stuff like that. The
mm,
professional opportunity that I have coming up, I actually got going to a career event outside of school hours. It was during, I believe, June of last summer. It's called RMISC, the Rocky Mountain Information Security Conference. And when I went there, I ended up taking a chance going to a workshop for an application that I actually am certified in called Alteryx. And it's a ETL software used in businesses. And pretty much, I took a chance. I went to this workshop and I actually met someone who worked for the firm that I'm actually going to be working for here pretty soon. And they're like, yeah, I'm having issues with my data right now. Like, I don't know what I'm doing wrong in this program. Can you just like double check my work? And, that's literally all it took was me showing up to a workshop and talking to this person. And, I let them know I was certified in this application. And, I told them, from the looks of it, it seems like the people who you got the data from just gave you some, inaccurate, erroneous data. So just by me showing up to that event and putting myself out there and taking the chance to, talk to that person, I approached that person because they looked a little bit confused. I was like, hey, can I help you a little bit, like
Hmm.
navigate this application? I'm actually certified in it. And, I helped them figure out what was wrong with it, and help them figure out, a real life business scenario. And, they
Yeah.
told me you're a rock star. And I actually, surprisingly enough, knew this person from really far back. Again, to Alokika's point, it's a small world. Um, and we reconnected, rekindled everything, and they helped me get my foot into the door of business and get the opportunity that I have right now. So I would say, definitely put yourself out there, networking is huge. Like, people think that you come to college to only learn, which, I'm not, again, undermining the value of education. Like, you should always try and learn new things. You should always, work to have a good, decent or good GPA, get good grades and stuff like that. I'm not saying you shouldn't do that, but, you've probably heard it if you're in college from a million different mentors. But, networking is, I would say, 60% of, like, you should put a 60% importance rating on networking, and then like 40% your
Mm.
actual academics, because at the end of the day, once you get your first job, your first professional opportunity, um GPA really isn't going to matter in 10 years. So it's the people who you are able to connect with, and the people that you're able to, make, not only just like make connect with on LinkedIn or something like that, but like make an impactful connection, make them remember you. Um, those kinds of connections are the things that are going to matter, for your professional development 10 years from now. Early on in your career, the GPA might help, but again, it's that longevity and that continuum
Hmm.
of professional development that matters to me, and
Yeah.
is what, like, I guide my mentor or my mentees down in my mentorships.
Absolutely. And it's not even just connecting with people in business. It's not even just connecting with higher ups in companies. Just but if you meet as many people as you can and just make meaningful relationships, even if you meet someone who's going to be a teacher one day, or you meet someone who is like it doesn't matter where they're going to work. Just having this, you never know where it's going to go. I heard a really cool story through my I'm trying to remember it, one of my Bible professors. And what had happened was he met someone when he was in college, and then 20 years later he was looking for a different job, and that person texted him and goes, hey, if you're ever in Utah, like stop by, like let's chat, let's grab coffee. And he did. And the person who he happened to meet worked at my school, CCU, and was looking for a job for a teacher who specialized in Old Testament and archaeology. And my professor was like, oh my gosh, that's exactly what I just got my degree in. And so you never know what's going to happen. But if you meet people, build those relationships, one day it could pay off. So you might as well just make good friends, meet as many people as you can. It's going to be worth it.
Oh yeah,
Exactly.
most
Well,
definitely.
there you go. Literally, like crazy how the world works sometimes, isn't it? Like with people especially. But talking about people and experiences, Roy, what are just and this is just like about like college experience in general, but like what is like a crazy story that you have witnessed or like a crazy experience that
Ooh.
you witnessed on on campus? Um of course, keep it appropriate, but I know a lot goes down here in Boulder, but anything that is funny, short and sweet that you would like to um share.
I mean, I would just say, in terms of funny experiences on campus, one of my good friends here, actually met him in the Excel program. He was in my cohort. His name is Justin Reef. You might have heard of him in the office. Um, yeah, him and we didn't really make contact with each other until freshman year. We had no idea each other existed until like our freshman year, until like we did the Excel program. And we come onto campus, and I'm in his dorm room one night. We're talking, chilling out. And I was like, man, I'm getting really homesick. I really miss my best friend from back at home, Alex. And it turns out that Justin Reef was actually best friends with my hometown best friend, Alex. And they went to like elementary school together. And they were in like, I think kindergarten through like fourth
No
grade
way.
together. Yeah.
Wow.
It's like I rekindled that relationship, and I ended up putting them back in contact with each other. But it was again, just one of those crazy things of how great of a coincidence. And I was asked this, by one of my friends who, I was having some drinks with after I turned 21. And we were just at a bar sitting down, and they asked me, they're a mathematics major, like an applied math major. And they asked me, man, you know what would be crazy? What happens if everyone knew what the biggest coincidence in their life up until that point was? And I was just like, that, that's a good way to put it. But,
Yeah.
there's a what he went off on this whole other tangent about a mathematical proof of, everything is meant to happen. And like we exist within an infinity of infinities. And within that, you know, whether you view it from like a religious aspect, a mathematical or scientific, viewpoint, it doesn't matter because the numbers show statistically that if everything exists within you know different infinities, the probability of something happening is always one. Like it's 100%.
Yeah.
That's like supposed to happen. And so that's just like the crazy thing about meeting people, making connections, losing people, especially. you know it was, if not meant to happen, gonna happen. So
Hmm.
um my like biggest piece of advice from that is just you know control the things that you can in the moment, and don't worry about the things that are happening or like that you can't control, because at the end of the day, they're gonna happen. They were meant to
Mhm.
happen in some sort of way. So don't waste your mental on it. Don't waste
Right.
your capacities, whether again it's spiritual, religious, um mental. Don't waste those capacities worrying about it, because it was meant to happen. And it's leading you down a path that you might not know. It could be good, it could be bad, but the thing that you can control is the thing in the moment. With anything, relationships, people, building connections, things happening, um, good or bad, whether it's again in your personal life or professional life. So
Yeah. That's really interesting. I've never heard that before. So I think that's really cool. I would ask what I would ask for you to share some experiences, and like how's your college experience been, from a personal and a relationship viewpoint versus business, just throughout freshman year to now.
oh man, from like a personal viewpoint, and I think at some point everyone can relate to this, but and to the point of this to this podcast, it was very isolating at many points throughout it. Whether it was dealing with imposter syndrome. My junior year summer, I didn't have an internship lined up when
Mm,
most people typically do, and I'm like, dang, my friends are going to big four accounting firms, KPMG, Deloitte's, the
hmm.
Charles Schwab's, Morgan Stanley's. People had internships lined up, and I was comparing myself to where my friends were, or like the people around me were. And while I find that there's value in that sort of reflection, I think the biggest thing that people do is they get lost in the sauce. Like they get too caught up in it, and let it affect where they are mentally, and they think like these people are too far ahead of me. I don't belong here. I'm not, you know, I'm not where I need to be. All my friends seem to be where they need to be, or all the people around me seem to be where they need to be, and I feel like very alone. But you know, talking to people, I realized that, you know, everyone's going through it. There's a lot of people in the same boat. It's either they went through that internship and found out it was absolutely horrible, and now they're having an existential crisis of like,
Mm.
man, I don't even know if I want to be an accountant anymore. I don't even know if I want to
Mm.
be like a financial advisor anymore, keep studying finance. Um, so it's like that isolation that I felt and overcoming that by, you know, um reflecting on the things that I could control, you know, and not getting caught up in where other people were and just focusing on myself. I think, again, cliche, but people need to focus on themselves before they can, you know, focus on others. And so just focus on making sure that you're in a good mental space and you're doing well in, you know, the aspects of your life that you want to before you start comparing yourself to anything. And, you know, again, that's not a healthy habit to like compare yourself, but it's just almost human nature to compare yourself. So
Mm.
just make sure that you're okay with, I would say the first comparison that anyone should make is compare yourself now to where you were before. And as long as you're doing better in that aspect, then there is nothing to be sad about. As long as you're making that progress on your path, there is nothing to be sad about. There is no isolation that you should feel as long as you're making progress on your path. Um, and yeah, in terms of like other relationships, you know, I've made some of my best friends here in college. I'm actually engaged right now. So I met my fiance here in college. So again, you know, college is the time and the place to meet people, to make friends, to make professional connections, personal connections, to make relationships that last, you know, have relationships and friendships that fail, to experiment with that sort of stuff. So learn it all now before, you know, you get into a place where it could hurt you dearly financially or, you know,
Mm.
professionally. So yeah.
Yeah, I really, really liked how you talked about isolation in like aspect of imposter syndrome. Because I mean, all it's like everybody goes through imposter syndrome almost. I mean, I do almost every day, right? Like, and I'm sure a
Mhm.
lot of people, if they haven't yet, they just don't know what it means. Or and people who don't know what imposter syndrome mean, actually, it's basically like when you doubt your skills and your talents and kind of like your accomplishments and stuff like that. And you know how I see imposter syndrome actually? It's like think about driving, right? Like when you're driving, you're supposed to be focused on what's ahead of you and on your car and on your surroundings. But if you keep looking at the back, then you are gonna crash, right? If you're
Yeah.
gonna
Mhm.
keep looking at others and see what they're doing and that's why it's so important to focus on your track and where you're going. And because not everybody's going to the same place, everyone
Mhm.
has their own directions, everybody has their own focus points that gets them to where they want to be. And so I think that's something that I've learned throughout life when it comes to isolation and imposter syndrome. And I don't know if you guys agree or not, but I think that's just kind of like the philosophy of how I see it. But what do you think, Gavin? Thoughts?
Uh, I agree for the most part. I mean, definitely focusing on what you have to do and surrounding yourself with good people who are going to encourage you. And if they notice that you're getting too focused on other people's things or where other people are going, they can call you out and they can kind of bring you out of that situation. Because I know there are times when it can be hard to recognize and hard to reflect and hard to just understand that you are dealing with that and you are focused on what other people are doing more than yourself. And so surrounding yourself with good people and trying to focus on your path and your goals instead of comparing yourself side to side with other people.
Exactly. And you know what I just thought of? I'm like, if you want inspirations in your life, like think of it as like when you're driving and you see a really cool car and you're like, "Hey, I want that car one day." Like that's fine, but don't be like, "Oh, I don't have that car, but that dude
Hmm.
does." Like there's a difference in the perspective of thinking. So, that's how I think of it. But yeah, I definitely agree, Roy. Thank you for sharing that aspect.
Yeah, no problem.
Yeah.
Um, Yeah, and I would just say another great piece of advice, echoing what Alokika said, is Bruce Lee said a great quote once. I can't reference like the exact quote, but it was something along the lines of words are like magic. That's why each one has its own spelling. And, you know, whether you're one of the people who watches, all these positive self-talk podcasts or anything like that, like, or, self-improvement podcasts, it's very true on how much influence self-talk has and the words that you say to yourself are. Um, and not only when you're giving yourself criticism, instead of being like, dang, I sucked at that, I bombed that, I'm bad at this, I'm not good at math, I'm not good at finance, I'm not good at this derivatives class I need to take for finance, or this programming class I need to take for info management. Instead, shift that and be like, I'm not that great now, but I can work towards getting there. And I think
Mm,
just like the way that people talk to themselves and critique themselves has a lot to do with it too. So it's just like having that positive self-talk, as well as coupling that with, you know, just constructive criticism rather than just, destructive criticism is super important.
Yeah,
yeah,
100%.
a good, a good interesting quote. It's kind of cheesy, but if you say you can or you say you can't, you're right. I'm sure
Yeah.
you've heard that before, but I really try, and every day I'll get up and I'll want to go back to sleep, of course, but I'll say out loud, today's going to be the best day, the best day, like number one. And sometimes I know it's not going to be the best day, and I know I have an exam in half an hour at the end of the day or at the end of the week, but just saying that is really helpful mentally. It's encouraging and it gives you hope, really, versus
Yeah.
getting up and having a crappy attitude, wanting to go back to sleep, and wishing that you took an easier class or did this or this that. It's really good to just start off your day with something positive. Today's gonna be a great day, or look forward to something. I know at the end of the week I get to go hang out with this person. That's what I do, and it's really helpful for me, and it helps keep me positive in almost all things.
Yeah, most definitely. Most
It's
definitely.
like it's like the power of the spoken word or something. I think that's what it's called. But I don't know if you guys believe in manifestations. Do you?
Yeah, a little bit, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not a huge like superstitious person and stuff like that, but there's a little part of me that's just like, okay, if you say positive, positive will happen. And if you say negative, there might be a chance that, that can happen. So I definitely agree. Like, yeah.
Yeah, I kind of agree that manifestation does happen. Um, you know, Alokika knows this, but I try and keep myself as positive as I can be given any circumstance. No matter how crappy a circumstance may seem, I always tell my mentees, it matters, no matter how much you think you're losing, you're never truly fully losing as long as you're gaining wisdom or experience and making yourself a better person because of it.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
So I tell that to all my mentees, that no matter what situation you're in, you're never truly losing. And more recently, I actually had an apartment fire. I'm not sure if Alakika knew about that. But yeah,
Oh,
like a month ago, my apartment caught on fire. Really rough time. It was like midterm season. Apartment caught on fire,
Jeez.
dealing with that. Didn't realize I didn't have renter's insurance. So, my fiance and I got stuck with a 10,000+ bill on top of everything. And while it did suck, like I'm not gonna lie, I was like panicked. I was um you know, down in the dumps for the first couple of days. I just had to
Mhm.
pull it together and be like, okay, the fire happened. I can't change the fact that, the apartment's damaged. I can't change the fact that, it's an estimated 10,000+ bill um for the repairs and everything. I can't change any of that in this instance. So, you know, the only thing I can do is be positive that, the entire apartment complex didn't go up like a Christmas tree. And be thankful that my neighbor caught it on time before the entire apartment burned down rather than just the
Mm,
kitchen. Um, and, just be grateful and positive about the aspects that turned out okay. And then, bringing that positivity in my life really helped me like keep myself together during that moment. And then eventually it almost brought like mental clarity to me because I wasn't freaking out about all the negative aspects. Instead, I was focusing on like the next steps to take. So, reaching out to the CU community, reaching out to CU resources, reaching out to legal services at CU, just
mm,
reaching out to the resources that I needed to sort of like be put on be put in the right direction on how to navigate next steps. And it was a month of haze and TV static in my brain and things go. But now, now that I had that mental clarity from the positivity that I brought into my life, I was able to, I was able to get to a place where like now I'm not worried about like the outcome of things. I know that things are going to be okay, but that was only because would manage to like talk to myself positively and not freak out and just be like everything's over. I give up. I throw my hands in the air.
yeah.
Um, and so it's again echoing the point that I mentioned before, just controlling the aspects that you can and just trying to mitigate the things that have already happened through what you can control right now. So um, you know, that's just life. That's dealing with anything, whether it's a financial situation, a life situation, a relationship, friendship. Um, just be able to adapt and overcome any situation. Both my brothers are in the military, so that's kind of, in the army, they teach you in any crappy situation, you can do three things. You can improvise, adapt, and overcome.
Mm,
So, you know, it's never truly over. And it's actually a common thing taught in a lot of, martial arts fighting styles, jujitsu mainly, um, especially Gracie jujitsu. You know, you can always change your position in a fight. You just have to find the way to do it.
mm,
So, you know, that that's life is a fight, college is a fight, everything is a fight, but you can always change your position. You just got to find that way. And the way that you find that way is not by beating yourself up and, telling yourself, I'm not good enough. I'm too lonely. I'm not this, I'm not that. That's not the way that you find the way to change your position in the fight. The way that you find the way to change the position is, getting up, being like, I can do this, talking to yourself
mm,
positively. And that positivity again will lead you to the next steps that you need to take.
yeah. I'm I mean, I'm sorry you had to go through that, but I'm really glad you were able to find a way to reframe the situation and see the good even when it was unfortunate. Honestly, a lot of people could use that skill, and I know me personally, being able to do that, especially in that situation, being able to do that would be really helpful for me, especially moving forward as a freshman, because who knows what the next couple of years are going to have for me. So, Roy, as we wrap it up, I'll ask one last question. We ask this to everyone on the podcast, and that is, what would you tell yourself as a freshman? So, 4 years ago.
Oh man. Number one, get renters insurance. um, but man, I would say it's never too late. It's never too late. Um, and again, the reason I say that is the reason I changed my major so late in my college career was because I thought it was too late to change my major. Like that was my whole mindset going into it was, it's too late for me to change my major. I can't change it anymore. I need to get through this in 4 years. Um, but again, if college is the path that you want to take and is something that you're truly dedicated towards, there's no time limit to it. Um, and that's something that my brothers taught me. is, you know, it's never too late. If you, even if you later on in the future decide, you know, this career path isn't what I want for me, it's never too late to pivot your career path. It's never too late to
Mm.
change your educational path. Um, Again, you know, I also talked to my mom, and I'm fortunate enough to be that my mom was, you know, gracious enough to be like, if you need to take a fifth year, which luckily I'm not, but she was like, if you need to take a fifth year, you can. Like, I'll fully support you in that. I know that you've paid for your
Wow.
college for the most part up until this point, but I will support you in, you know, a fifth year college. So that took a lot of stress off of me. And you know, I think, and I don't want to generalize too much here, but I think especially with people in marginalized communities or you know, BIPOC communities, um, they typically rush themselves. They tell themselves like, I need to get this done in 4 years, or else like I'm not on the right path, I'm not on the right track, I'm behind. Because it's almost like the immigrant mentality. It's like go, go, go. And like, yeah, from immigrant people who have like immigrant parents or might come from immigrant background, it's like, I need to go, go, go. I need to, you know, I need to hurry up and accomplish this, get my degree. But again, I think Alan Watts put it, Alan Watts put it a great way. He put it as, if your boss ever asks you if you want a helicopter, say no, like don't take that offer, because it's like the faster you can move, or the faster you tell yourself you can move, the more expectation and the more stress you put on yourself.
Mm.
So there's no time limit to your success. As long as you accomplish what you want to accomplish in your life, you have your whole life to do it. And you know, not to say that people's lives can't be cut short at any point, but there's almost a beauty in not rushing things and stressing yourself out over, you know, those aspects. So, um, again, control the things that you can. If it's, if you want to change your major, change it. Like, it doesn't matter if you're a junior or senior, if you need to take an
Mm.
extra semester to do so. Like, so think about it like this then. Um, you might be putting yourself a semester behind, but that semester and that extra money, you know, that extra haggling from your parents, whatever it may be, that's stopping you from, you know, changing your major or changing your path, that is very small marginally compared to your entire life. So would you rather work a
Mm.
career path or a profession that makes you miserable and stressed out your entire life, or change into something that you know you're going to enjoy and be happy
Yeah,
with your entire life? So I
Yeah,
think like
100%.
just look at it from that perspective with any change.
Yeah.
absolutely. Roy, thank you. Big takeaway. It's never too late for anything, really. I
Yeah.
really enjoy that. I completely agree with that. But for now, Roy, thank you so much for being willing to come on the podcast, share some of your story, and teach some awesome lessons along the way.
Yeah, no,
So,
thank
with that
you.
being said, thank you so much. I will see everyone next time.
Bye.
Bye everyone.